Hi, yeah. It's been a while since I've done anything on this channel, hasn't it? Yeah, you see what that says right there. This is a Monday Night Raw review. Primarily the Monday Night Raw following No Mercy 2017. Yeah, I think I'd give a try at talking about wrestling again. I've only been watching this shit for over 30 fucking years, so thought it'd be a thought I'd give it another shot. Just sit here talking about it. You know, lots of people throughout the course of their lives, they make a lot of bad choices. Everybody's made bad choices in their lives. I've made bad choices. I'm sure you have too. Um, Here lately, these past couple of days, one bad choice I made was watching No Mercy 2017, thinking I was going to get something new, something different, something exciting. That was a bad choice. Another bad choice was watching this episode of Raw afterward. Man, um, thank goodness for TiVo, because I can watch a show later than I usually would want to watch it, and when something comes up that I don't care for, just fast forward through it. So this will be kind of an abridged review, if you want to look at it that way, because I'm not going to sit here and literally talk about everything that happened on this 3 hours of Raw, because I will be here all night if I try that. But I'm going to just talk about things that that got my attention, whether it was good or bad. And if I omit some things from this review, that means either A, I don't care, or B, I simply forgot to talk about it. Take your pick on which one's going to be the more believable response to that. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why didn't you review No Mercy 2017? Because lots of other people reviewed it and basically have the same feelings that I did about the show. I saw OTRS Central's review of No Mercy, and I got to agree with him. Mostly. There were some things he talked about in that review that I respectfully disagreed with, but about 90% of the stuff that he said, yeah, I probably would have said it too. So I felt like there was no point. Now, as I am recording this, I haven't seen him review this particular episode of Raw, so forgive me if it looks like I'm imitating him, but I'm willing to bet a lot of the stuff I'm going to say, he's probably going to say it too, but you're probably going to watch him more than you will me, but that's fine. The show opens up with a Miz TV segment that they hyped during No Mercy. And I like that, because The Miz, for me, is one of the shining spots of Monday Night Raw. And he happens to be carrying my favorite championship of all time, the Intercontinental title. Don't get that crossed. That's my favorite title, but it's not my favorite belt design. My favorite belt design is, of course, the big gold belt that was made legendary by guys like Flair and Steamboat and Sting, what have you. But he's the Intercontinental Champion, and he calls out Roman Reigns. And immediately we get to, the burning question, how's it feel to beat John Cena and get the torch passed to you and all that stuff. This segment was good. It was. I was into it. I thought it was going very well. And then we got to the part that ultimately killed this segment. And that was the building up of a match between Roman Reigns and The Miz. Because Miz's promo work on this segment was actually very good. It really was. And then Roman called him out, and Miz immediately hit the switch in his head to go to cookie cutter chicken shit heel mode. And I got a Facebook alert. Okay. But anyway, The Miz switches to chicken shit mode. So, of course, Kurt Angle makes the match. And I'll get to that here in a second. But the teases of the Shield reunion, they teased it so much. Folks, we know it. Now we know for a fact It is coming. We are going to get a Shield reunion. The only question is when. I'm thinking maybe either TLC or Survivor Series. And if they play this right, and I'll get to how I think they should play this out when I get to the part about Roman Reigns versus The Miz. But here's my question, though. Roman challenges The Miz to a match. I don't know. If I'm in the ring with The Miz, okay, and he starts talking trash at me, and he starts talking me down and everything, just making me itch for a fight, for a match. Me, personally, I would think about challenging The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. But does Roman Reigns do that? Nah, because we forget, Roman Reigns does not like mid-card titles. It's either world title or nothing for this son of a bitch. Which made him look incredibly stupid because knowing that Kurt Angle booked the match between him and The Miz later on in the show, we all knew that Roman was winning, so why not challenge for the strap? Simple, because he doesn't like mid-card titles. When John Cena said on Raw that when Roman Reigns won the U.S. title, that he treated it like it was a demotion. You know what? As much as I don't like Cena, he was 100% right. Remember how trashy Roman Reigns' reign as United States champion was? He carried that belt like he was ashamed of it, like he was ashamed to be seen with it. He would drape it over his back to where you couldn't see it. He would only hold the strap like this. He carried that title as if he was embarrassed that he had that title. You know, all logic poking aside, you know, you think he would challenge The Miz for the IC strap. But then again, I'm also thankful he didn't, because had he had done that and probably got the belt that night, he probably would end up treating the IC title just like he did the US title. So, on one hand, I'm upset that he didn't go for the belt, but at the same time, I'm relieved that he didn't go for the belt, because we need other guys to challenge Miz for the IC title. Who? I'll get to that in a minute. But the segment was fine, and then you have the Miz Taraj in a tag match with Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan. You're clearly building to a rivalry between the Miz Taraj and the upcoming Shield reunion. It's obvious. It's too damn obvious. So, of course, because they're stupid, the WWE books the Miz Taraj to job to Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan. Why? So Jordan can get his payback for No Mercy? You would think if Jordan were to get his payback, then he should be challenging the Miz for the IC title. Why the fuck should he care about the Miz Taraj? I don't know. But like I said, I watched this on TiVo, so I fast-forwarded through a lot of stuff. We get to Finn Balor's stuff with Goldust, and it really hurts to see a character that you remember fondly from your youth and you see where they are now, and guys like Goldust. Guys like Goldust that still have a lot of mileage. He still has a lot of mileage in him. You could still use him for some good stuff. And instead, you reflip him heel to get him away from the victimization of Bray Wyatt, so you can send Goldust at Finn Balor of all people. And talk about lazy and talk about stupid. You start a rivalry between Goldust and Balor just for Balor to beat Goldust later on in the night. So I'm like, what's the point of a fucking feud? Balor just beat him. There's no point. And then you cut immediately to Bray Wyatt, and for the love of fucking Christ, will this feud just fucking die? Apparently, this stupid-ass feud between Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor is going to continue. Oh, for the love of God. Now, this is what I gotta say about Finn Balor. Now, OTRS Central said that Finn Balor sucks. I respectfully disagree, but not completely disagree. I do agree with him that when he says Finn Balor should not go after the Universal title, should not go after Brock Lesnar. I completely agree with that. Finn Balor has no business getting in the ring with a guy like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, you got to think logically, not kayfabe, but you got to think logically. If you were to put Brock Lesnar in the ring with a guy like Finn Balor, you would think Brock Lesnar would just snap a little fucker like a twig. Don't get me wrong. I am a Finn Balor fan. I have a Balor Club t-shirt, but the fact is, when I look at a guy like Finn Balor, I think to myself, this right here should be a guy that should be chasing The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. Because a lot of fans nowadays, they get it in their head when insert indie wrestler name here comes to the WWE, they automatically get this boner thinking, oh, he should be a world champion. He should be the world heavyweight champion. He should main event 27 WrestleManias, and all that kind of shit. I say the hell with that bullshit. It's like, does anybody care about the IC belt or the US belt anymore? Does anybody really care about those titles anymore? Most of you fucking indie marks out there don't seem to give a fuck about them, but I still do. Especially the Intercontinental title, my favorite championship. That belt has made so many legends. So many legends have held that title. Guys like Austin, Rock, Triple H, Greg Valentine, Kurt Angle, one of your favorites. Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I can keep going on. Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, Macho Man Randy Savage, the Honky Tonk Man, the Ultimate Warrior. And in my opinion, the Ultimate Warrior will forever go down as one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. Why? When you get into the WWE and you win the Intercontinental Championship, why don't you call me when you main event a WrestleMania as the Intercontinental Champion? The Ultimate Warrior was the only Intercontinental Champion to main event at WrestleMania and defend that Intercontinental Championship and, mind you, successfully retain the IC title by beating Hulk Hogan, the top star in the company. So anybody that says that Ultimate Warrior was not a great IC champion, y'all can go to hell. But anyway, and guys like the British Bulldog, who won the IC belt in the greatest IC title match of all time, SummerSlam 92. I can go on and on and on of great names that have held the Intercontinental Championship. We could still fill that list up with even more great names. Guys like The Miz, he's a great Intercontinental Champion. Guys like Cody Rhodes, I thought he was a good champion. He wasn't perfect, but I thought he was good. Not to mention, he brought back the classic belt. A belt that I loved fondly. And I look at a guy like Finn Balor, I'm thinking, this right here could be your next great babyface IC champion. Because fuck Dolph Ziggler, who was the last guy? Who was the last truly great babyface Intercontinental Champion that actually made that belt feel like a big deal? If you say Dolph Ziggler, I say this. Ha! Get the fuck out of here. But, I feel like I'm getting off topic here. The fact is, I look at Finn Balor. He shouldn't be feuding with Goldust over nothing. They should kill this rivalry between him and Bray Wyatt and put him in a program with The Miz, probably leading up to WrestleMania. I look at Finn Balor versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. That right there could be a money match. It could be. If they don't have enough faith in Jason Jordan to carry that IC belt, I see money in a Finn Balor Miz rivalry for the IC belt. Keep Finn Balor away from the world titles as far as I'm concerned. Then again, that's just my opinion. You got the segment between Mickie James and Alexa Bliss. it felt like it kind of dragged a little bit. It's like, you know, it's building off the whole thing with Alexa on the Raw Talk stuff and Mickey trying to call her out for it and everything. I'm glad that they're getting away from Alexa versus Sasha and Alexa versus Bayley, because I'm sick and tired of Sasha and Bayley always getting title opportunities and title feuds, because Sasha Banks can go to hell for all I care. She can go to hell. And Bayley, she's already in hell. Fuck Emma. Nia Jax, such a shame that she hasn't been at least a 2 or 3 time women's champion by now. But Alexa versus Mickey, that I can be fine with, because it's something different. It's something we haven't really seen yet. It's something that could have brewed up on SmackDown, but now it can brew up here on Raw. That's fine. But at the end of the day, we all know what this truly is. This right here is a placeholder rivalry until they can get Asuka on the Monday Night Raw, because we all know Asuka is set to debut at the TLC pay-per-view. And knowing WWE, she's going to be, in her debut match on the main roster, she's probably going to end up winning the fucking belt. So I'm thinking their plan is probably going to have to be keep the belt on Alexa Bliss until she gets to TLC and gets eaten up and spitting out by Asuka. And then you can put the Raw Women's title on Asuka, and she can carry it up until WrestleMania 43. But, you know, all joking aside, that's where you probably going to end up going, and you're going to keep booking Asuka the way you booked her on NXT, then so be it. I guess we'll have no choice but to bitch about it and then accept it. Roman Reigns versus The Miz. I knew Reigns was going over, but I'm thinking to myself, why couldn't this be a schmoz finish? I mean, neither guy really had to win this match. You could have had The Miz Taraj interfere, and the match could have ended in a no contest, and you could have done the spot where they beat up Roman Reigns and put the fists up and everything. You didn't really need to have Roman Reigns win clean, because now you've given, you know, in storyline-wise, you've given Reigns an excuse to chase after the IC belt, and we know that if he does win the IC belt, he's going to treat it with as much disrespect that he did the U.S. title. So, who really wins in a feud like that? If anything, you should build up to an IC title match between... Now, I don't know if TLC is before or after Survivor Series. I don't fucking know. At this point right now, I don't fucking know, because really, I don't really 100% care. But if it were me, I would probably book an IC title match to probably main event the TLC pay-per-view, because who knows if Brock Lesnar's going to be there or not. But if Brock Lesnar's not going to be there, then the main event should be a ladder match or a TLC match between Reigns and Miz for the IC belt. And you have the Miz Taraj interfere, have Miz retain, because you can use a TLC match to keep protecting both guys, where you can have Miz win without having Roman Reigns getting pinned or submit or anything like that. And you just keep having Roman ganged up on to where Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins have no choice but to help out Roman Reigns. And there you build to a Miz Taraj versus Shield match at Survivor Series. That's just how I would do it. And then, speaking of Dean Ambrose, I'll get to him in a minute. But for me, the shining star of Monday Night Raw was Braun Strowman. Considering how much of a jackass you made him look at No Mercy, Braun Strowman, to me, was the star of Raw. He's coming in, and he's literally just whooping anyone's ass that he can get his hands on. He is fucking pissed. He is fuming. He is mad as hell. He's breaking property. He's breaking bodies. And that's exactly what the fuck he should be doing. You had Brock Lesnar make him look like a chump on pay-per-view. The next night, he should be pissed. He should be angry. He should be storming around, whooping ass left and right. The stuff with Kurt Hawkins, I got a laugh out of that. I enjoyed that. When he slammed Kurt Hawkins through the stage, through that light screen LED shit, whatever the fuck that is, that was good. And he's like coming back in the ring. He's grabbing the mic. He's pissed. And blah. I want to fight. And then you have Dean Ambrose come in. And this is where you get a little bit of a hiccup. You have Ambrose come in. He's answering the challenge because he's the lunatic or whatever. So you have Ambrose come in, and then we have a match. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I'm booking this, I'm going to go ahead, fuck Dean Ambrose. You have Braun Strowman just obliterate him, clothesline him real hard, slam, 1, 2, 3, he's fucking done, and he leaves. He's like, I asked for a fight, and then he leaves. Why did it take Braun Strowman so long to beat Dean Ambrose when Ambrose was not 100%? That really bothered me. But like I said, fuck Dean Ambrose. This is a guy, Dean Ambrose is a guy, very few times do I see this happen. Trust me, I've been seeing this shit for 30 years. I know when I see this. But Dean Ambrose comes off looking like one of those kinds of guys who, as his career progresses, he somehow slightly gets worse over time. And the guy, I saw his performance at No Mercy, and people say he looked like a star. I disagree. I've seen the way the guy punches and the way the guy pummels people. He punches like a fucking girl. I'm sorry. I don't buy Dean Ambrose, nor do I really buy Seth Rollins at this point. If anything, there needs to be a Shield reunion to revitalize both those two overrated assholes. But I digress. That's just me. But then we get to the main event. The main event segment, which was Enzo Amore retiring his jersey or whatever. I really looked at that. I mean, I really paid attention to him retiring the Certified G jersey. And then I took that into account and added it to what I ended up seeing a few moments later. Then it hit me like that. When the Cruiserweight division was up there on the stage, and you have Enzo out there running his mouth like he usually does, and then you have Neville come out. And like I said, like that, it hit me. This was a double turn. You actually have fans booing Enzo Amore. Don't pretend you don't hear no boos for Enzo Amore. Don't pretend you don't hear it. The sabotage, people, is working. For people like Jericho who say that WWE does not sabotage people, that's a fucking lie. Look at how they're booking Enzo Amore. Look at how they're treating him. You can't tell me this is not a sabotage. And what's even worse is that the sabotage is working. You already have some fans turned against him. He doesn't get 100% cheers anymore. But at least the guy still has a personality. At least the guy can still move merch. That's something that this Cruiserweight division desperately needed. They need a guy who is over, who can sell merch, who is a good talker when he wants to be one. So, you have a guy that the crowds genuinely and legitimately like, so of course, you're going to do a double turn here and force the fans to try and force the fans to boo this motherfucker. Why? Because you just don't like him. Because he's an asshole backstage. Like Hulk Hogan wasn't an asshole backstage. Like Steve Austin wasn't an asshole backstage. Like Triple H ain't an asshole backstage. There's a lot of assholes in professional wrestling that still became some of the biggest stars the industry had ever known. But because this little fuckstick rubs you the wrong way, let's sabotage his career when he's making us some fucking money. Only this company would be that fucking stupid. It's almost as if they're ashamed of making money. That they don't want to make money. That they don't want to sell merch. They don't want to sell tickets. No wonder this company's in the fucking shape that it's in because of shit like this. You're turning Enzo heel. Apparently that's the gist I got from this segment. You're having him hide behind a contract. You're having him hide behind Kurt Angle of all people. If anything, why is Kurt Angle signing clauses and signing contracts that prevent other people from hurting him? If anything, if you're going to go with a heel Enzo, I can't even believe I'm going to fucking say this. I really can't believe I'm going to fucking say this. But if any authority figure is going to sign contracts and everything to protect a heel Enzo, it should be Stephanie McMahon, not fucking Kurt Angle. Why would a babyface authority angle give a shit about protecting a heel? Then again, why would a heel authority figure give a shit about protecting a babyface? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Now, I'm not saying bring Stephanie McMahon back to Raw. Fuck no. If I gotta put up with illogical shit like Kurt Angle protecting a heel Enzo, if I gotta deal with that as opposed to having Stephanie McMahon on Raw, I'll deal with that. But then on top of this, you have Braun Strowman come back out after the cameras are off. You have him annihilate Enzo, and then you go and do the Nexus shit by having the entire Cruiserweight division, literally the entire Cruiserweight division, take turns on whipping this motherfucker's ass. Because you don't like him off camera. To anybody that works in the WWE that doesn't like Enzo Amore because of how he is backstage, get the fuck over it and realize that this guy's making this company money. Pull the stick out of your ass and just deal with it. Only this company would be that fucking stupid to take a guy who is genuinely over with the crowd, gets a genuine positive reaction from the crowd, something that is very hard to do for a babyface wrestler in today's WWE, a guy that actually moves merchandise. And look at this. You break up Enzo and Cass. You would think, oh, Cass is going to be the first one to get a championship. It's Enzo Amore. Think about this. Enzo Amore, a guy they don't like, gets a championship belt before a guy that they did like in Big Cass. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but about a year or so ago, they actually gave Cass an opportunity to become Universal Champion. And here we are a year or something later. Cass is out with a fucked up leg, which sucks because who knows where this push could have took him. And Enzo Amore, a guy that you don't like, you give him the Cruiserweight Championship. You know, I looked back on how he won the title at No Mercy, and I thought this was the death of the Cruiserweight division. But little did I know at that moment, and then you see what happened here on Raw, that was the beginning of Enzo's heel turn. That's what this clearly looked like for me. If Enzo's not a heel by next week on Raw or by the next episode of 205 Live, for the 4 of you that actually watch that fucking show, if Enzo's not a legit heel, then what the fuck was this segment on Raw? Him hiding behind contracts. Him actually being afraid of a fight. When this guy was up and willing to fight guys like Big Cass and, and Braun Strowman and all kinds of crazy shit. You have a guy that legitimately doesn't back down from a fight and he gets his ass whooped, to now he's got a guy who's shorter than he is, and now all of a sudden he doesn't want to fight. This makes no sense. The sabotage is working. Because now you have Enzo getting slightly booed by some fans. I heard it, and I know you fucking heard it. And it's really sad that when the WWE puts their full efforts into sabotaging someone's career, majority of the times, it fucking works. And it's working here, folks, and it's a damn shame. There's so much mileage, there's so much money in an Enzo Amore. The way he moves merge and the way he gets reactions, how can you be against something like that? Because he pissed off a couple of people. Well, tell them to get the fuck over it and just deal with it. But anyway, that was this Monday's Raw. I know I didn't cover anything because I didn't care to cover everything. I just wanted to talk about and get my feelings out about the shit that I thought meant the most and mattered the most on this program. This Raw was bad. The best part about Raw was Braun Strowman, and that was Braun Strowman after looking like a fucking chump. What does that tell you, folks? This wasn't good. This was not even close to good. And anybody who says that this was a great episode of Monday Night Raw, you clearly have not watched this product for a very long time, and your expectations are very, very, very low. Now, I'm not going to go so far into exaggerate that I've seen better Raws in 95, because god damn that, fuck that year. But this was a bad episode. It really was. And it was painful to watch. Except for the parts I chose to fast forward through. But there you go. There's my thoughts on Monday Night Raw, the night after No Mercy. At the very best, it gets meh.